where they presented evidence in a public court before a judge and jury, and the jury found the defendant guilty under the evidence obtained under the Patriot Act. The reasons stated by Attorney General John Ashcroft and the House Republican leadership for there being no debate on the Patriot Act was that the terrorists were under every bed, behind every toilet, and inside every refrigerator. Therefore, the Patriot Act was so necessary to keep the country safe that there was no time for debate. The most simple aspect of its passage was how members of the House were not permitted to read it. It was posted on the House intranet for 15 minutes before the vote, and it's 315 pages long. The judge says he read it twice, and it took him 20 hours each time. And you need it in front of you, not just it, but lots of other statutes, the full U.S. Criminal Code to process it. It has lots of amending of other statutes, so you need to reread these statutes to figure out what the government has actually done by amending the statute. So I'd like people to call in if they have any information or opinions on the Patriot Act. It was a giant step in us losing our personal freedoms. I believe it was wrong. I think it's a shame on everyone in the Congress and Senate that vote for any bills like this that don't even take time enough to read it. The judge was right on this. I believe that this was wrong. It should be repealed, but of course Bush is for it. It'll probably stand at least while we go through this next election process. Phone number is 873-1400 if you'd like to call in. Email on air at the Real News Radio. We're going to have an interactive website for realnewsradio.com where we're going to be filming the radio show, uploading it onto the internet. You can watch it 24/7. We haven't quite got there yet. It'll probably be Tuesday or Wednesday before we have it actually going, but it's a beginning. It's not the end. It's a start. So we're going to be working hard on it because, like I say, I'm here because I want to have a forum for the public to call in, to contact, so we can maybe have a grassroots movement to make some real changes in the country today.
And I'm Mark Singer. I'm here because Billy is out of town. We finally got him a day off, but I just wanted to come in from a station standpoint, Farron, that we've been looking for another piece of information that people can talk and people can express their opinions, because all of you are out there. You have an opinion one way or the other, but the key with this program that we've been trying to instill is that we'd like to be able to start finding solutions locally. So we thank you for doing it. You're very passionate. We love it. And, you know, the views expressed may not be that of ours or the stations or advertisers or even yours, the listening audience. But we've got to be talking about this stuff because everybody is, just not in a public forum. And so we want you to be able to call in, email your questions, comments, and then we'd like to start being a solution. And we've got to start right here where you live, in your community, your churches, your workplace, and then it'll start to spread. You know, kind of you use the word the grass movement, you know, and so we want to be able to help facilitate that if we could. But Farron, if you could real quick, tell us a little about where you're from, because you're from the Mocksville area. You know this area better than most people ever probably do, and tell us a little more about yourself.
So I grew up in Mocksville. Like I said, my father's a retired minister. My mother's homemaker. Father, 2 sons, live with me. I run a local business here in Statesville, and I guess to make a long story short, some years back, I hate to put an exact number on it, but when I really started taking a good look at the direction our country was in, and I firmly believe our society is in decline. I agree with the pastor that just called in. I think too many people just have their head in the sand, and as long as their paycheck comes and they can pay their bills, they're content to just ride along with whatever happens, and our freedoms are vanishing. Our economic state is not good. We need drastic change, and that's why I'm here. I am very passionate about what I do. I want some change. I'm looking for answers. I want people to call in. I want to involve them, because you can write a letter to the editor. It might get in, it might not. It might get edited. But people don't really have a forum where they can get involved, and the website, once we get it going, will be a website where everyone can get involved. You can have your voice heard, and maybe we can, like you said, locally, on illegal immigration and some of the other issues, actually affect some change, and the change starts right here. Instead of everybody just wringing their hands and talking about it, we've got to get up and do something. That's what I want to do.
Well, you know, Farron, there's just some simple solutions, you know, that one of the callers there, Bill Anderson there earlier, you know, is could it be some of those things they just need to start attending? Like you said, get off the couch, or there's some other quick solutions or some real quick things that you say, look, please do this, do this for us.
Well, I think if we could maybe affect some change with some of our local state legislatures. I mean, it's a shame that North Carolina is the state that the illegal aliens all come to get their driver's license. I mean, we ought to be ashamed of that. We shouldn't permit this. But yet it just rocks on. We talk about it, but nothing ever happens. It frustrates me so bad. But I agree.
So what is it, like, just that issue? What is the solution to that issue? Is it, do we need to pass a law in the city? Do we need to pass a law in the whatever county that says, look, if you're hiring them, you know, there's other counties and states that have created legislation that has started to curb the illegal immigration problem. Whatever the issue is, you know, my heart goes out that older people right now are struggling to pay their bills because their real estate taxes are so high, and then the mandatory reassessment comes in, and then their taxes go up, and yes, there are some, if they would apply for it, there's some ways for them to cut their tax burden in half. Well, cutting in half just puts their taxes back to where they were 5 years ago. So should we do something locally? What can we do locally? And that's where this program, we want to lead this to take the ideas from the public. Because I'm sure a lot of you have been sitting there at your radio saying, oh, if we would just do this, if we could just do this. Well, this is your opportunity right here every Saturday from 11 to noon with Farron to share those ideas, share those opinions, and then let's make some things happen. Let's help each other out here to lift the tax burden and actually have some fun living.
That's right. People have got ideas about things we can do to make some changes. They can email it to us on the air at the Real News Radio, and maybe the public's got some better ideas than I've got here, but I am for making some changes. I think it's a shame that our elderly that has fought us through a world war and paid Social Security their whole life have to choose between food and medicine. They're taxed into poverty. The federal government seems to not care, and they're just hoping that Social Security is there for them. David Walker, the U.S. Comptroller General, told us 3 weeks ago it will not be there for me unless some drastic changes come. I don't expect to see them happen. I guess I'm a little bit of a pessimist, but I'm here to try to affect some change. And I agree, yeah. The Sheriff's Department told me straight up that they didn't know when they come across an illegal alien, or a person, they don't know if they're legal or illegal. They have to rely on the federal government. So obviously, Arnold County Sheriff's Department needs some help, because until we can do that, we can't really do anything.
Well, if someone out there is a lawyer or someone that just is kind of in the know on immigration things, well, if you can help us out, you can call us or email us, and then maybe next week we can highlight some of those things and find those solutions, because again, that's the whole point of the program. And what's on tap for next week? We've only got a couple minutes left. What's kind of the end there for next week?
Next week I want to talk about the war. I'd also, anyone that would like to be a guest on the show that has some information pertinent to these issues, that feels like they would like to be a guest, I invite you to contact me. We'll have you on the show, see what information you have. I'm going to talk about the war. I'm also going to talk about Oprah Winfrey and Friends, her new XM radio show that is nothing more than a new age indoctrination into anti-Godism, I guess is the best way to put it. It's very anti-Christian. If you've not heard of it, you're going to be surprised at what's going on with Oprah Winfrey. I want to cover that. But I'm going to get into the war, the cost of it, the effects of it. And I'd like to thank Brian and Kelly for all their help, Dave. And we're going to a break. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. You're on Real News. Thank you. Thank you for listening. You've been on the Real News Radio. We'll be here every Saturday at 11 o'clock. I'd like to thank you joining next week. The email address is on air at the Real News Radio. The website's realnewsradio.com. And until next week, this is Farron saying, God help us all.